Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my man Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are looking at player props here on Friday to end your work week. About 11 games to choose from tonight after just a one-game Thursday night slate. So happy to have plenty of options here tonight on the slate. Also want you to head to thelines.com. That's where we have our great written content for you guys. Nate and the gang put our picks up there, so you can make sure to follow along with all these player props on there, as well as our odds finder tool that we have. You can go ahead and make sure to shop those lines to the best of your ability. Get all the juice back on these NBA player props this season. Nate, let's go ahead and jump into your first NBA player prop for tonight.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn here in the I want to take a Wizard against the Hornets, who might be fully embracing the tank here with LaMelo sitting. They gave up 140 to the Celtics, who were missing Jaylen Brown in that game. I mean, the Celtics put 140 on everybody, but I mean, they're 25th in paint points allowed. They're offensively 30th in shooting efficiency, so they're giving up the third most defensive rebounds. So wanted to take the Zinger, who's been real hot in his last three, but for whatever reason, Mason Plumlee, I guess, and company did a pretty good job on him in their last meeting. And Kuz picked up the slack with 28, 10, and 5. Kyle Kuzma, in his last 5, he's been dealing with a back injury and has been kind of questionable to play, but that back never hurts when you're on offense, right? 27.5 points, 7 rebounds, 4.5 assists as well, causing some people to, say that the Wizards have a budding big three here in Kuz, KP, and Brad Beal. I mean, what do you call it? A medium-sized three, Vente-sized. So in any case, they can put some numbers up on this Hornets team that I don't think is as good as even some of the defensive rating metrics would indicate. But and Kuzma's his points is 21.5. I have no problem with that. I think you can combine the rebounds for 30.5. Odds stay the same here because I think the Hornets offense is going to be so bad without LaMelo, Gordon Hayward, or Dennis Smith Jr. as well. And Kuzma has been doing such a good job rebounding since he joined this team. He has a 23% defensive rebounding rate, which is way up from where he was at with the Lakers in the early part of his career. He's really become more of a well-rounded player. So if you want the whole PRA, I like that as well because, like I said, he's been diming up, and the Hornets are just kind of a sieve everywhere.
Yeah, sieve is the right word. Anywhere you want, they're just leaking defense, leaking confidence, leaking paint points to their opponent and rebounds. So yeah, Kuz, Kyle, Shaquille O'Neal, Kuzma, best rebounding forward in the league right now. I don't know how you argue that. And I mean, true small forward, if you will. He's playing a lot of power forward as well. I mean, every time we talk about Kuzma, I'm just going to bring up how much he would be helping the Lakers right now. But let's move on to the Lakers and a guy I'm going to take again, Anthony Davis. This worked out last time. It was a point higher, 24.5 when we took him against the Blazers. Obviously, the Blazers are not the Milwaukee Bucks on defense, especially down low. But the Portland Trailblazers are also pretty good at defense this season, by the way. Pretty much a top 12-ish defense in the league after being pretty much the worst or bottom 3 last season. So that was also pretty impressive, and it actually took a lot of effort for him. The thing I like about him is he's shooting down low right now. He's not pulling those threes anymore. He kind of realizes that this is where he's going to be able to score from is barreling into the lane and being, using some finesse, but it seems like this is too low, right? Like it's 23.5 points for a guy that's been putting up 30 points a game in his last 8, right? And he's put up 30 at least in 7 of those 8 games, 35 in 3 or 4 of those 8 games as well. So 16 boards a game in those last 8 as well. 3 blocks for the man who's definitely making his case for Defensive Player of the Year if he can stay on the floor this whole season with that 97.1 individual defensive rating. So he's going to be on the floor for the 32 minutes that he's been playing, 35 while LeBron was out as well, by the way. So good on AD for getting those minutes and sort of putting the people to sleep, or at least making some people shut up online who call him soft all the time. And like I said, shooting 60% from the field during those last 8, all of those points in the paint. I believe he has 0.8 3-point attempts over those 8 games, meaning he's probably shot 2 threes over the course of those last 8, which makes you feel really, really good about the fact that he's getting all those points in the paint, because his field goal percentage in the paint as well is about 70%. 72% right now on cleaning the glass. Last 5 versus the Bucks as well. And I know we talk about the Bucks being as good as they are on defense and Brolo being back, but his last 5 against them, 25 a game and 9 boards, 109 defensive ratings, just indicating how much they're going to need him on the floor for the majority of this game. While Giannis and Brolo are playing together, there's really Thomas Bryant and AD might even see some time together tonight, which is still fine, as Thomas, AD is going to be scoring hopefully a little bit more, from the foul line and in, as opposed to like having his back to the basket, because it's not really a great matchup with Brolo forcing him out of the paint. So I think he's going to be doing a little bit more facing the basket, leaving an opportunity for Thomas Bryant to actually be in there and help take Brolo, the pressure off of AD, by having Brolo guard him and vice versa.
Yeah, I think the numbers are pretty clear that AD is much more efficient and productive when he has a true center playing alongside him and he doesn't have to take on that role. But a couple things you said make my ears perk up as like, yeah, this is going to be a good effort from AD. Normally 30 to 32 minutes. I think, yeah, he will be above 35 in this matchup. I think the Lakers are going to take it very seriously, and the calls, that he's soft, he's really disproved that in his last 8, playing extremely well on both ends. He's minus 130 to get at least 2 blocks in this game. His projection is 11.5 rebounds. He's going to be out there, in a really physical game that we talk about in the game video, is like strength meets strength down low. I don't see him backing down. I see him getting to the line pretty consistently as well if he's not scoring down low, because I just think this is going to be like a really kind of black and blue game where both teams are trying to assert themselves down low. Yeah. The Nets are hosting the Raptors here, and the last time Pascal Siakam faced the Nets, 37, 12, and 11. Just a monster game. He was on just an absolute tear, pretty much a lock for all NBA before he had to sit 2 weeks. Yeah. And so I think we can get ahead of it here in terms of him getting his groove back. He started to play well against the Pelicans, 23, 6, and 4 in 34 minutes, but it was a blowout loss, so he did not finish that one. This one's a 1-point spread. Pascal at 22.5 points. I think he gets over that for sure. I like combining with the assists because he is posting a career-high 35% assist rate. They're running him as like a point power forward. Also career high usage, 29%, career high defensive rebounding rate. So he's just filling it up. 36.5 would be the PRA. Durant, there's an exhaustion factor here from everything he's doing on offense. The Nets, mediocre 112 defensive rating in their last 7. Much different pace for Toronto when they're on the road. 99 possessions versus 94 at home. And Siakam's getting more numbers on the road because of that. 24 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, despite lower overall efficiency on the road. So I think you like him to fill up those peripheral stats. Maybe you even want to go rebounds, assists. I mean, take whatever you want. I think he's going to flirt with a triple-double here again and get you about 25 points.
Yeah, man, for sure. I'm going to take the peripherals with him too. I had no idea he was averaging 8 assists a game on the road this season. I already was like so impressed with Pascal. I was like, can you already be an all-star and remain an all-star, but like still win most improved player? Like I hate that award anyway. So like, just give it to Pascal. Like he's gone from like clearly like at least a tier below guys like, the top tier guys in the league, right? The Giannis's and the Jokic's, etc. He's been probably 2 tiers below those guys. I would say he's moved up a tier into like right below them this season, especially because of that playmaking ability. Those assists are wildly impressive. I would take the PRA with him as well. I feel like you and I last season got scarred by Pascal like 3 different times, taking his PRA right around 35, and he would get like 35.5, and he would get 35 each time. So let's just let that fade from our memory and take some of the peripherals in this one as well, as I think there's gonna be a lot of opportunity for that against a Nets team that will probably have like Royce O'Neal guarding him for a lot of this time, and he's just not big enough to handle Pascal in that situation. So let's finish things off here with Keldon Johnson under. We brought him up in the game video there against the Pellies. 28.5 boards and rebounds. Take that under at minus 118 there on FanDuel. Keldon, I said I don't think that their lack of success, the Spurs, and the way that they're clearly tanking this season has affected him too much. But that's because I didn't look as closely as you did over the course of the last 5 or 6 games that he's been playing, where his numbers have dipped a bunch, especially his efficiencies. Over his last 6, he's down to about 14.7 points a game on 27.5% from the field with an 82.4 individual offensive rating. Very, 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 very bad. This includes a 5.1 rebound affair in just 16 minutes against the Pellies last time that they played in November. Since that time, he has had 20 points a game and 9 boards or so, but 2 of those were versus the really, really fast Lakers, who also were just not able to guard that position at the time with all the wing players that they have out. He had 19.7 boards, 6 assists, but shoot 5 of 22 from the field when they were in KC since that time as well. So KC and the Lakers, 2 teams that, not quite NOLA, who we've talked about in the video, they're a juggernaut right now on defense and around the boards, especially when Zion's in there. 4th fewest rebounds allowed to their opponent, 3rd best 3-point percentage that they're limiting opponents to, and they're limiting opponents to the 7th fewest free throw attempts as well. All the ways that Keldon Johnson would like to score in terms of his versatility from outside and then getting to the line, driving to the hoop. They allow the 3rd fewest points per game to power forwards. And Zion is basically in there assuming that if you're guarding him, you're going to get in foul trouble. Like, there's no way to guard him without fouling. If they make the mistake of leaving Keldon Johnson on Zion for too long, he won't be able to make it past the 16, 17 minutes he played last game as well. So yeah, it's just an awful matchup for him as well. He needs a much smaller front court than what he's going to be facing tonight to be able to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, OKC, you said there is no NBA team in Kansas City, but that's...
What I say, KC?
Yeah, you said KC twice, but that's cool. The 28.5 points and rebounds, I feel pretty good about him going under because he's just not boarding very consistently. He had 19 and 7 against at Oklahoma City, and New Orleans is such a good rebounding team, and they're giving up such few rebounds because usually you're just taking the ball out of the basket after Zion puts you in the basket. And I mean, they're playing so well on both ends of the floor that he couldn't stay on the floor in this last matchup. There could be some bounce back from him, but I don't think that the Spurs have enough fight in them to really, to expect that. I think a moderate bounce back is fine, but they could get blown off the floor once again.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the more this just spells like if our game theory is Keldon's going under, then I think part of that is because they're just going to get blown out and dude's not even going to play much, from the halfway through the 3rd quarter on, right? And I think that's also leading me to go, well, then why don't I just take a really sick player performance double for the Pellies, or take an alternate over or alternate spread there at 9.5 or 10 for the Pellies if you think they're going by double digits, because the game theory spells that for this one. And if you're the Pellies and you got CJ McCollum coming back trying to work him in, I think this is a good opportunity to blow this team out and get in your groove, continue on your groove as they've won a bunch of games over their last 5. So that is all the time we have for you in player props today. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with us. We're coming back to you guys next week, each and every weekday this regular season. So until we see you next, happy betting.